What's up, beautiful people? This is Heart-Based Community Podcast Series with Andrew Rezmer and Leanne, and this is number 2. Welcome, Andrew.
Thank you.
So we were just working through what is consciousness. Andrew had described a beautiful ceremony, ayahuasca ceremony, and the opening and understanding of his purpose with leading this beautiful community from the inner and outer perspectives. It's not a borrowed truth, it's a real truth, and it's powerful. Remembering the definition of consciousness as aware of and responding to one's surroundings, awake. So there's a lot of juicy and delicious insights and information that are in the podcast that we just did previously. I highly recommend that you watch it so you'll really feel more of how you can walk with us, glow with us, share with us, and contribute with your personal truths. So coming into the next question, we will rise this Heart-Based Community Podcast with a little bit more of how can we rise love consciously, Andrew?
Oh, you want us to resolve the universe's challenges in what, 20 minutes?
Yeah, why not?
Let's do it in 15.
Okay.
Why are we going to waste extra 5 minutes?
Love it.
So how do we rise consciously? I can only say how I'm attempting to do that, and obviously I would love to learn from you and other listeners to our conversations. The way I see this, what we're doing right now, it's a conversation, and neither of us has answers for other people. We can only attempt to have answers for ourselves. And as I remember one of our conversations, I suggested that it's better to have questions than answers, because the minute we have an answer, we kind of blocked ourselves from possibly growing and learning something new. Because once you accept, oh, this is answer to that question, there's no need to look for new answers because you already have one. But what if that answer is not everything there is? What if there's more to it? So to rise in love, into love, in my eyes, is to continually inquire and allow to continue open oneself, myself, to other possibilities, to more. And what is love, really? What is love? Love is full acceptance of another person or another being or in whatever or circumstances, is being not judging, not pushing away, not having labels, not wanting something different, not comparing. The minute we compare, we don't love. The minute we analyze, evaluate, we don't love. We're just trying to put it in some kind of box of some kind of construct that we bought into because of our programming, because of our education, because of our past, because of our culture, because of our experiences. But full unconditioned love is still a concept, but concept of a continuous path of continuous opening, continuous shedding, programming, shedding structures. So how do we do that? How do we rise into love in the conscious way? By inquiring, by asking questions. I remember, I'm sure you heard that too, and most of our listeners too, but it's such a cool story that I'm going to repeat it again. This person is somewhere in the developing countries, somewhere in the high climate, in this prison cell made of concrete walls with no light, and window that is with no glass but bars in it, and he's sitting there on the floor against the concrete wall. It's cold, and he sees something in the corner of his cell, and he sees this, and he assumes it's a snake that is sitting there. Mm. He has nothing to defend himself with. Mm. So he's afraid that this snake is going to see him and attack him and bite him. So he can't sleep. He's up all night with fear, pushing himself into the corner against this concrete wall, watching this snake whenever he's going to move and bite him and potentially kill him. And that's how he spends the entire night in this fear until dawn, until light, until sun comes out. And he sees that it's just a piece of rope in the corner.
Mm.
So that's how sometimes we live our entire lives. We're afraid of something that has been passed from other generations, is passed from the culture, passed from church, passed from books we wrote, passed from our friends, some kind of construct, some kind of fear, some kind of labels. And we live our entire life pushed against the wall, being afraid of something in the darkness because we believe it's real.
Mm.
But the minute we ask ourselves the question, what, I can't see what it is, I don't know what it is, but if I allow myself or open to other potentials, and that's when the light bulb comes on, and that's when we start seeing more than we have seen before. So rising into love consciously is to not accept all the answers that others are offering, or even our own experiences offering, because that's just one of many potential. Rising is opening ourselves to more possibilities, more potential, and there is no end to it. We're all energy, entire world, our entire universe is just vibration. There's just different forms of energy. We happened to be functioning in a very relatively narrow range of those energies that allows us to communicate among ourselves, that we experience this as something hard and this as something that is soft, the air between us. But from the cosmos point of view, it's just another form of energy that interacts with each other. And this is the range that we are capable of experiencing right now. By rising into love consciously is expanding that, is having a bigger range of ability to experience and see than what we have right now.
This is really pulling me into how to hold space. I just feel like I watch myself through listening to you. And as I practiced that for a very long time, something that came up for me is, there's growth in rising in love too. So two things in the growth of rising in love and then holding space is that unconditional love also. Because I look at this friendship, and because I knew something was always growing, the growth in the aspect was I could come home and I could feel, okay, yes, or I could feel something that would allow me to push that love and say, here's a little bit of tension, Andrew, here's a little bit of tension, right? And then there's holding space and time of knowing something and not giving up. But that same thing unconditionally is happening in rising in love with all those that we're rising with. Mm-hmm. Right. And the importance of, like, say, I had a friend that I came and I held space for that went through huge trauma, but then merged and evolved through a different awakening yesterday with me, is understanding the purpose, the calling of consciousness and serving consciousness reflectively, and then holding space for where that person is, whether they're in their unconscious, subconscious, conscious, subconscious, and superconscious. And by working on that myself. So I think the next thing we can talk about, from understanding how to rise and then that energy of being open, is let's talk about holding space. What do you feel about that?
Yeah, that's exactly how you describe it. Is holding space is it's a little bit of a dance, because there are some situations where action is required. So accepting that there are some values that we don't want to question, like the value of truth, value of transparency, value of love, a value of forgiveness, value of connection, value of collaboration. So there are some values that we accept as base point, and we may want to be open to growing into that. So how do I accept? So this is the value I don't want to question. I want to accept as a firm value that I want to hold for the rest of my life, or value of growth, or value of love, or value of forgiveness. But now I can open myself to go deeper into how I'm going to be experiencing, how I'm going to be growing, how I'm going to be expanding in those values. So let's say we have a value of truth, and when one of our family or community member is struggling with his or her capacity to live with this value, it is our responsibility to confront, or to allow, or to invite that individual to explore reasons why he or she is not able right now in this position to live according to that value. Because most people will say, oh yeah, I want to be living in truth. Yet we know that 50% of couples cheat on each other, if not physically, in their mind. We know that they lie to each other. So they have the value of truth, but they are not able in some circumstances to express this value on a daily basis. Sometimes they pull away. So I think it's our responsibility to continue inviting each other and supporting each other to bring those values, to expand those values that we agreed that we want to live by. And if I see something that you're slipping, or you're closing your eyes and not seeing, I feel my responsibility out of love to shine light and invite you, not point out, not necessarily attack you, not shame you, not blame you, is to invite and bring my love, my awareness to help you see something that is not seen, that you see the snake in the corner, but it's not a snake.
Mm. Yeah, it's very important. And then you automatically know that, because the more that you're practicing to be in this vibration with love, when you're still expanding and it's ever new all the time, but there's still a consistency of that vibration, that when something is out of whack, you already know how to help it, but we need to be open to receiving. So now let's go from, rising with love to holding space into the power of receiving. Let's talk about that a little bit further.
Okay, so which one?
Let's talk a little bit about the power of receiving as we're rising in love, because you're saying holding space for those people that need to be able to receive. I know we talked about receiving before, but I really feel like it's playing a role in the connection right now of rising love. Just expand a little bit more on receiving.
I think it's a beautiful art of how to give and how to receive. And some gifts are easier to receive, some gifts are not. So it's a dance again. So let's say I'm doing something that is not congruent with my values, and you, as my soul sister, want to help me to open my eyes. Let's say I'm lying to my partner, to my wife, and you want to help me. So your help is a gift that you're offering to me. But if this gift is wrapped in form of a blame, Andrew, how could you do that? You call yourself a conscious human being and you're here lying. It may help or may not, may be perceived by me as an attack, even though your intention is loving, even though your intention is to help, even your intention is to support me. But the way the gift is delivered is, I'm not able to perceive this as a gift. I'm seeing it as an attack. and I want to defend myself. I want to protect myself. I'm going to pull away from you. I'm going to justify what I'm doing because you don't understand me. You're not in my shoes. You don't know what I know. So how dare you tell me what to do? See? But the same intention could be delivered in a different way. So it's important that from the giving side and the receiving side to understand each other, to be connected, um, it would be important for you to ask more questions, to see where I'm coming from, to feel what I'm feeling, to have my side before you offer a gift, because then you can offer the gift in a way that is going to be perceived as a gift, is going to be received as something that I can actually take and incorporate into my life. I can use it.
That's very good. I really like that. I like that opportunity is to ask more questions so that you don't feel like you're pointing a finger at somebody versus,
Yeah.
The library voice. Everybody walks into the library, it's really quiet and you can approach and feel and use your intelligence. Which leads into, let's go into the next question. How does one open the door of the heart and walk together as a heart-based community? So now we know how can we love, but now how do we open that door of the heart to walk together?
Yeah, so all those definitions or concepts or structures that we described in our previous conversation, consciousness, subconsciousness, unconsciousness, um, extends, or superconsciousness extends to individual, and it extends to family, it extends to community, it extends to society. So, there is, especially right now, in what's happening in the world right now, where there are attempts by groups of people to manipulate consciousness of society, to use fear in order to elicit certain response for specific benefit of the group that has created this manipulation in the first place. And this is nothing new that has been used in the past. There's propaganda, there is false marketing, there is all different ways of influencing mass consciousness into doing something. How could one of the most cultured, educated society on the planet in 1939 start the Second War, or in 1917 First War? How could that happen? The people who created the most beautiful music, most beautiful art, literature, who had all those amazing, deep awareness of how the world functions, become so destructive towards others and kill millions of people because of their background, because of their where they come from, or because of their beliefs. How is that possible? It is possible, unfortunately. So it is important that we work on our own consciousness, on expanding, on growing, and we create communities of people whose goal is the same, and when we invite others, so there is less possibility, less risk of being manipulated. And the easiest way to manipulate someone is to create false risk or lack of security. Fear is one of the strongest forms of manipulation. So, so again, the way how I protect myself, or how can I deal with it, is by having more awareness and surrounding myself, inviting others who have the same goal. And then together as a community, we can see the truth from false. We can see manipulation from invitation to grow.
Wonderful. So that's how we're going to be opening the door, is understanding the illusion that's there. First of all, by knowing ourselves. Okay, so let's go into the final topic we'll have on the sharing of today with our podcast 2 here is, what are your thoughts on the planet and the need to plant trees? and have a governing rules around keeping nature protected?
Mm. Yeah, well, this is something that I think we have to start, maybe not start, but continually remind ourselves. Because we quite often we say, oh, we need to protect the planet. The planet is going to be here 10 years from now, 100 years from now, probably a million years from now. We may not be part of it. This species, this form of existence may not be part of it if we are going to continue living a life of destruction and consumption. Consumption is part of life. We also had this conversation, a part of this conversation in one of our previous podcasts. In order for me to continue living, I have to consume, if it's food or if it's air or if it's water or if it's other products or whatever, I have to destroy something that is alive, consume for continue to be alive. And that's how we are built. There is we don't know of any other form of keeping something alive without using something else. So that's we have to accept that. That's just part of life, is to destroy and kill. But as the status quo of the existence of us as a part of this chain of life, us meaning humans, is there has to be enough balance. So we have to allow other forms of life to exist as well. In order for us to have air to breathe, we have to have enough trees, we have to have enough plankton, we have to have enough other forms of life that are creating oxygen and consuming carbon dioxide, for example. So now, if we take trees that I'm wearing today on my shirt, if we take trees as a source of chopsticks or furnishing or fuel for keeping us warm, and we take out of balance when we cut more trees than is allowed, when we fish more fish than is sustainable, when we take more other resources out of this planet for our consumptions, we're very close, according to scientists, to a tipping point where is beyond repair, where there is not going to be enough ability for the planet to continue providing what is essential for us to live, like oxygen, like drinking water, like a certain very small range of temperatures that we can live as a biological organic life form. So being aware of that and continuously making sure that we're making contribution to this planet individually. We can wait for governments to do that, and they may or may not do it, because it's not necessarily, governments are elected for a very short period of time, and in those 4 years that they are in power, they are trying to put deep roots into their own control over others so they can be re-elected. That's their main goal, is to reassure their own power and control that they have. And planting trees for next generations is not necessarily on the top of their agenda, because that's not necessarily, that means spending money, that means tightening the belt, that means taking away something from others. So it's not necessarily something that is going to get them re-elected. So we individually have to be aware of what is our individual consumption level and contribution level. Are we in balance on every aspect? That's of life, in terms of food, the plants, community connections. Am I taking or giving? Is there balance?
Wonderful. Well, we want to invite you viewers to contribute to what you would like to contribute. We have spoken a couple new things here with the heart-based community. We're doing our part by showing up as much as we can. And I think this is going to turn to a really, really beautiful hub at Conscious Living Radio somehow. Set that intention in Vancouver. Whenever Andrew's around the planet, I'll still be here to help that grow. But I really feel what we contribute is showing up, and we're getting the conversations out. And now we want to invite and continually invite you to put information in the feeds, whether it's in this below in YouTube or on any of the feeds that are in Blissed Out Network or Conscious Living Radio or Conscious Living Network. I think that's another really great start to a beautiful series of heart-based community information. Andrew, there's so much to pull out of you. I'm so grateful to be a part of this, likewise to reflect and to learn. And yeah, we'll be back soon, guys. Just keep watching and keep loving.
Thank you.
Namaste.